We all want a better world, don't we? A society where compassion triumphs, where personal integrity isn't a rare gem, and where genuine well-being isn't just a fleeting dream. We pour endless energy into charities, global initiatives, and self-improvement schemes, yet often it feels like we're just patching up cracks, not building something truly resilient. Why do our best intentions often fall short? Why do even the most educated among us sometimes struggle with the most basic human virtues? And what if everything you thought you knew about creating a genuinely good life for yourself, for your community, for the entire planet was missing a crucial piece of the puzzle? Tune in as we dive into a radical, perhaps even controversial perspective that claims to hold the key to universal welfare and unparalleled personal development. This isn't about quick fixes or trendy hacks. It's about a profound shift that promises to transform not just individuals, but the very fabric of existence, from human society to the natural world. If you've ever felt that traditional solutions just aren't cutting it, if you've yearned for a deeper, more authentic path to doing good and being good, then this conversation might just unravel some truths you never expected. Prepare to challenge your assumptions, broaden your horizons, and perhaps glimpse a future where true auspiciousness isn't just a concept, but a living reality. You absolutely cannot miss this. Right, so you sent me that article this morning. Krishna Consciousness. Seriously, mate, that's quite a bold claim to wake up to. I mean, all auspicious? Like, everything good?
I know. It sounds a bit much, doesn't it? But that's precisely why I wanted to talk about it. It just struck me, sitting there on the tube, how many times we've had chats about how things are, well, broken, aren't they? Society, people, even just ourselves sometimes. And then this pops up.
Broken is putting it mildly. We're constantly trying to fix things, throwing money at problems, inventing new policies, and it just feels like we're always playing whack-a-mole. So this article kicks off with Srila Rupa Goswami defining auspiciousness as welfare activities for all the people of the world, which, fair enough, sounds like a noble goal. Who is this Rupa Goswami, by the way? Some ancient philosopher?
Yeah, exactly. He's a historical figure, a saint and a scholar from centuries ago, but the ideas feel surprisingly current. And that definition, welfare activities for all the people of the world, that's what really caught me. Because you see groups of people, don't you, engaged in welfare activities, but it's always in terms of society, community, or nation.
Exactly. Like we have our local council trying to sort out potholes and community centers, then national charities tackling homelessness or mental health, and then globally, you've got the United Nations. But it's always this piecemeal approach, isn't it? The article even says there is even an attempt in the form of the United Nations for world help activity.
Yeah, but then it hits you with the follow-up. But due to the shortcomings of limited national activities, such a general mass welfare program for the whole world is not practically possible. And that resonates, doesn't it? Like the UN, bless their cotton socks, they try, but it's always bogged down by national interests, politics, people just looking out for their own patch. It's like everyone agrees on the goal, but no one can agree on the roadmap because everyone's got their own agenda.
It's the ego, isn't it? Or the limited perspective. You can't truly help everyone if your primary loyalty is to your nation, your community. It always creates an us versus them mentality, even in the best intentions efforts.
So then the article throws down the gauntlet. The Krishna Consciousness movement, however, is so nice that it can render the highest benefit to the entire human race.
That's the bit that really got me thinking. Highest benefit. Not a benefit, but the highest. And entire human race, not just a subset. It feels like such an audacious claim when you look at how everything else struggles. It says, everyone can be attracted by this movement and everyone can feel the result. Like everyone? Even my cynical old Aunt Sharon?
My thoughts exactly. And what does feel the result even mean? Is it like a warm, fuzzy feeling or something more profound? Because if it's true, if everyone can truly be attracted and feel the result, then it actually would be the highest benefit. It goes on to say, therefore, Rupa Goswami and other learned scholars agree that a broad propaganda program for the Krishna consciousness of devotional service all over the world is the highest humanitarian welfare activity. So they're basically saying, forget your NGOs and your UN resolutions. This is the real welfare work.
Which is a huge statement, isn't it? Calling it the highest humanitarian welfare activity, it positions it not just as a spiritual path, but as the ultimate solution to global problems. That's a big promise to live up to. So then I was like, okay, but how? How exactly does this Krishna consciousness movement do all this? How can it attract the attention of the whole world and how each and every man can feel pleasure?
And then it quotes the Padma Purana. A person who is engaged in devotional service in full Krishna consciousness is to be understood to be doing the best service to the whole world and to be pleasing everyone in the world. Now that's where it starts to get a bit, well, mystical for me. Devotional service? Full Krishna consciousness? What does that actually look like in a London flat? And pleasing everyone in the world? Even people who've never heard of it? How can I please someone in, I don't know, rural Mongolia just by being in full Krishna consciousness?
Yeah, that's the bit that makes you raise an eyebrow, right? Is it like my good vibes are just radiating out and making everyone happy? Or is there something more tangible? Because if you're truly selflessly serving, not just your community, but a higher purpose, maybe that shifts something globally. Maybe it inspires others or subtly changes the collective consciousness. It's a huge leap of faith to just accept that. But then it adds, in addition to human society, he is pleasing even the trees and animals because they also become attracted by such a movement. Now, that's where I nearly choked on my morning cuppa. Pleasing even the trees and animals? Are we talking about like squirrels high-fiving me in the park or pigeons doing a little jig? It sounds fantastical. It gives the example of Lord Chaitanya traveling through the forests of Jharkhand in central India, spreading his Sankirtana movement, and the tigers, the elephants, the deer, and all the other wild animals joined him and were participating in their own ways by dancing and chanting Hare Krishna. Right, so literal tigers chanting?
I know, it sounds like something out of a Disney film, doesn't it? But I think it's meant to be symbolic. Not that a tiger literally picked up a set of karatalas and started chanting, but perhaps when someone is so deeply connected, so utterly pure in their intentions, they create an atmosphere of such profound peace and harmony that even wild animals, who are usually quite fearful of humans, lose that fear and become calm, attracted. Like when you see people with a real knack for animals, they just seem to calm them down without even trying. Imagine that on a grand scale, extending to entire ecosystems. It suggests a unity that transcends species.
So it's about radiating an energy that impacts everything around you, even nature, like a very, very big good vibe. That's a beautiful thought, actually. Imagine if our parks in London felt that rather than just being a place to rush through.
Exactly. And then it pivots to the individual. Furthermore, a person engaged in Krishna consciousness, acting in devotional service, can develop all the good qualities that are generally found in the demigods. Now, demigods, what are we talking about there? Like Greek gods, superheroes? What kind of qualities are these?
Well, I suppose demigod refers to these elevated, divine beings in Vedic texts, typically embodying virtues like honesty, wisdom, compassion, strength, self-control, purity. The article quotes Shukadeva Goswami, "My dear king, persons who have unflinching faith in Krishna and are without any duplicity can develop all the good qualities of the demigods." So it's not just about doing good things, it's about becoming good, cultivating these inherent qualities. unflinching faith and without any duplicity. That's the key, isn't it?
Without any duplicity really hit home for me, because we see so much duplicity, don't we? People saying one thing, doing another, or having a public persona that's completely different from their private life. This is saying if you're truly aligned, if your faith is genuine, then that inner purity manifests as these incredible outward qualities. And then it says, on account of a devotee's high grade of Krishna consciousness, even the demigods like to live with him, and therefore it can be understood that the qualities of the demigods have developed within his body. So it's not just that they have these qualities, but they radiate them so strongly that even these demigods, these ideal beings, would want to be around them. Like their presence elevates the atmosphere for everyone.
It's like saying they become so virtuous, so authentic, that good people are naturally drawn to them. It's not just personal development, it's almost an irresistible magnetic force of goodness. And then it drops the hammer. On the other hand, a person who is not in Krishna consciousness has no good qualities. Whoa, that's a really strong statement, isn't it? No good qualities? What about someone who's not Krishna conscious but still a decent person? Like my nan's not Krishna conscious, but she bakes cakes for the whole street and volunteers at the local charity shop. Is she suddenly lacking good qualities?
That's the part that I pause too. No good qualities. It sounds incredibly harsh, almost dismissive of all the good people out there. But I think the nuance is in what they consider good qualities. It's not about superficial niceness or occasional acts of charity. It might be about a deeper, foundational goodness that stems from a connection to something transcendent. The article clarifies this by saying, he may be highly educated from the academic point of view, but in the actual field of his activities, he can be seen to be baser than the animals.
Baser than the animals? That's an even bigger punch. Like my brilliant professor at uni who's published tons of papers but is notorious for being incredibly arrogant and selfish. Is he baser than animals because his brilliance is purely intellectual, not ethical or spiritual?
I think that's exactly what it's getting at. Animals act on instinct for survival, but humans, with all our intelligence, can often be more destructive, more cruel, more cunning in our self-interest than any animal. We can abuse our intelligence. The article says, even though a person is highly educated academically, if he cannot go beyond the sphere of mental activities, then he is sure to perform only material activities and thus remain impure.
Beyond the sphere of mental activities. So not just living in your head, planning, analyzing, strategizing, but connecting to something deeper than just your thoughts and ego. If you only operate on a mental and material level, you're impure because your actions are always going to be self-serving, even if cleverly disguised. It's all about what I can get, what I can achieve, rather than what's truly beneficial for everyone.
Exactly. And we see this everywhere, don't we? There are so many persons in the modern world who have been highly educated in the materialistic universities, but it is seen that they cannot take up the movement of Krishna consciousness and develop the high qualities of the demigods. It's like you can have all the degrees, all the knowledge, but if it doesn't translate into genuine compassion, selflessness, and freedom from vices, then what's the point? It doesn't mean they're bad people necessarily, but they might be missing that deeper moral compass.
And then it gives the practical proofs. For example, a Krishna-conscious boy, even if he is not very well educated by the university standard, can immediately give up all illicit sex life, gambling, meat eating, and intoxication. Whereas those who are not in Krishna consciousness, although very highly educated, are often drunkards, meat eaters, sex mongers, and gamblers. Now that is a bold claim. Immediately give up. It's not like after years of therapy.
Yeah, that's quite a challenge to conventional wisdom, isn't it? Because we think it takes so much effort, so much willpower to break habits. But it suggests that in Krishna consciousness, it's not a struggle. It's a natural shift. It's not about willpower as much as a change of heart, a higher taste. Illicit sex life would be sex outside of marriage for procreation, and meat eating obviously refers to non-vegetarianism. It's saying these become unappealing because your consciousness is elevated. You don't want to do them anymore.
So it's not about forceful suppression, but genuine disinterest because something better has come along. Like if you suddenly discovered the most incredible, delicious, healthy meal, you wouldn't crave junk food anymore. And it contrasts that with highly educated people who are often drunkards, meat eaters, sex mongers, and gamblers, which sadly we do see. Brilliant minds, but lives that are often quite messy or unfulfilling, despite their material success.
Yeah, it's a fair observation. I know plenty of brilliant people who are absolutely lost in those activities. And the article concludes, these are practical proofs of how a Krishna conscious person becomes highly developed in good qualities, whereas a person who is not in Krishna consciousness cannot do so. It's a direct comparison, isn't it? And then it gives another example. We experience that even a young boy in Krishna consciousness is unattached to cinemas, nightclubs, naked dance shows, restaurants, liquor shops, etc.
Unattached, not necessarily against them, but just doesn't feel the pull. He becomes completely freed from the craving, the desire, the mental attachment that often drives us towards these things. He saves his valuable time from being extravagantly spent in the way of smoking, drinking, attending the theater, and dancing. Which is interesting because it's not saying these things are inherently evil, but that they can be extravagantly spent time that could be used for something more meaningful. It's about valuing time differently.
It's about not being a slave to fleeting pleasures. Think about how much time people spend on Instagram, or binging Netflix, or chasing the next night out, just to fill a void. And this is saying that void is filled by something else, so you naturally don't crave those things. And then it gets into the yoga system. One who is not in Krishna consciousness usually cannot sit silently even for half an hour. And that's so true, isn't it? The sheer discomfort of being alone with your thoughts in silence.
Absolutely. Our minds are just buzzing constantly, always needing stimulation. The yoga system teaches that if you become silent, you will realize that you are God. That's a common spiritual concept, right? Self-realization. But then it immediately questions its practicality. This system may be all right for materialistic persons, but how long will they be able to keep themselves silent? Artificially, they may sit down for so-called meditation, but immediately after their yogic performance, they will engage themselves again in such activities as illicit sex life, gambling, meat eating, and many other nonsensical things.
It's a bit of a dig at modern yoga trends, isn't it? Where people do an hour of meditation and then immediately go back to their habitual patterns. It's like a temporary escape, not a fundamental change. It suggests that silent meditation, if not coupled with a deeper spiritual practice, can be superficial. It's like a mental detox without a lifestyle change. The underlying desires are still there.
Artificially, they may sit down. Yeah, that resonates. But then it contrasts it again. But a Krishna conscious person gradually elevates himself without endeavoring for this so-called silent meditation. So they don't even try to be silent. How does that work?
That's the fascinating bit, isn't it? It suggests it's not about forcing anything. Simply because he is engaged in Krishna consciousness, he automatically gives up all this nonsense and develops a high character. Automatically, that's the key word. It's a natural byproduct of the engagement, not a separate difficult discipline. It's like when you love something deeply, you automatically stop doing things that would compromise that love. The focus isn't on giving up vices, but on engaging in something higher, which then naturally purifies you.
So it's less about suppression and more about substitution with a higher, more fulfilling engagement. You get so absorbed in Krishna consciousness that the nonsense just fades away as irrelevant and develops a high character, not just good, but high. And it culminates with one develops the highest character by becoming a pure devotee of Krishna.
It's saying it's the pinnacle, the ultimate level of character development. not just being a decent human being, but reaching a level of purity and goodness that is truly extraordinary. And then it finishes with that really definitive sentence. The conclusion is that no one can truly have any good qualities if he is lacking Krishna consciousness.
That's the one that still makes me squirm a bit. No one can truly have any good qualities if he is lacking Krishna consciousness. It feels very exclusive, very absolute. What about a brilliant doctor who saves lives but isn't Krishna conscious? Or an artist who creates beauty for the world? Are their qualities not good?
I think the key word there is truly. It's not dismissing all kindness or talent, but perhaps it's suggesting that without that deeper connection, that underlying spiritual foundation, any good quality is somehow incomplete, impermanent, or perhaps even tainted by some subtle self-interest, ego, or material desire. Like, you can build a beautiful house, but if the foundation isn't solid, it will eventually crumble. Maybe it's saying true, unwavering, pure good qualities can only stem from this profound spiritual link.
So, it's not saying you're a bad person, but that your goodness might not be as deep or sustainable without that core connection. It's a challenge to our modern understanding of what goodness is. We often measure it by outward actions, but this seems to imply an inner state is paramount.
Exactly. It's about the source. If your good qualities are simply a matter of culture or social conditioning or even self-improvement techniques, they might be fragile. But if they arise from a deep, unwavering connection to something divine, then they become inherent, unshakable, and truly auspicious in the broadest sense. It's almost saying that true humanitarianism isn't about doing good as much as being good, profoundly and consistently, through a connection that transcends the material.
So, in essence, it's not just a religion, it's a complete paradigm shift for how we approach welfare, personal development, and ultimately our place in the world. From a narrow nationalistic view of welfare to pleasing trees and animals, from struggling with bad habits to naturally transcending them, from superficial meditation to automatic purification. It really is an all-auspicious claim, isn't it? It's not just about a specific deity, but about a consciousness that brings forth the highest possible good in every sphere of life.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in, but it's incredibly compelling. It makes you question everything you thought you knew about what makes a good person, a good society, and a truly happy life. And it offers a pathway that's surprisingly simple in its core principle, just engage in Krishna consciousness, yet profoundly transformative in its effects. Maybe those seemingly out there claims about pleasing trees and demigods aren't so fantastical if you consider the depth of purification and connection it implies. It's like finding the ultimate antidote to all the world's fragmentation and suffering, starting from within.
Starting from within and then radiating out, that's the bit that gives me pause in a good way. It suggests that if we truly want to fix the world, we might need to look beyond the political solutions and the academic theories and consider a fundamental shift in our own consciousness. Quite the thought for a Monday morning. It makes you wonder if this is truly the highest humanitarian welfare activity, what are we all actually doing with our lives?
Precisely. It leaves you with that powerful question, doesn't it? What if this is the missing piece we've been searching for all along?
Explore more reflections on love, surrender, and the divine. Watch the next video or subscribe for deeper journeys.
Love is not the end, it's the way.